we're back again, but this time, no breakdowns, but there was a trade. And guess what, Matthew Stafford? Where is he, Jack?
He's in Los Angeles. He's been traded to the Rams for 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Jared Goff headed to Detroit.
Now that's what I call a steal.
I would say so. I think the Lions, they need these draft picks. They've got a team that has no defense whatsoever, and maybe they see something in Jared Goff that the Rams didn't. I mean, Goff went out on a limb the other day and said, at least I'm going to go somewhere where I'm being appreciated. So obviously that relationship was...
shots fired.
Yeah, that relationship was just compromised, and I don't think people in the public eye really realized that he wasn't getting along with Sean McVay over there because, nothing really came out publicly about it, but obviously since they traded him, they were having some issues.
I mean, Sean McVay's openly stated multiple times, so is the GM, that they're having QB competitions. They started the other guy instead of Goff. It was clear from the beginning that
funny story about that.
We're moving on.
Started. He worked on Wall Street until he took the job with the Rams. I just think that's kind of funny. The time's going on.
So he just missed out on GameStop?
Yeah, he just missed it, but he didn't lose all his money. So he still got the start for one play. And then he went to the hospital. But it was worth it.
Hopefully that guy's doing okay.
This trade, I think the Rams, if they made this move, or since they made it, I think they're looking to win now, considering they traded for Stafford, and they have guys under contract. I mean, they have Aaron Donald. They have guys in that secondary who are sustainable. I think the Rams are a win-now team, but the question is Stafford really a winner in this league? Being traded to a new team.
Of course it's a win-now team. Matt Stafford ain't going to be in the league in 5 years. It's now or never. You traded your next 2 first-round picks and a third. I mean, they're trying to win a Super Bowl next year. They're thinking, okay, Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're going to have to start paying those guys. Tom Brady's 6,000 years old. Now's our time. It's time to get in there. I don't think anyone would argue. They have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. They have some decent weapons on the offense. I mean, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp is decent. Their offensive line, has been pretty decent the last 2 years. They have good tackles, decent center play. Really, if they have elite quarterback, imagine if Aaron Rodgers was on the Rams. They probably win the Super Bowl.
They tried to go for him,
They tried to get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, they tried to trade for him, but the Packers wouldn't budge.
But I don't know. I heard for years that Tracy McGrady was all that, and he was super talented. He was just on bad teams, and, well, we never found out. Matt Stafford's had his whole career in that wasteland that is known as Detroit, Michigan. Probably one of the 2 or 3 worst landing spots, and honestly, it might be the worst landing spot if you think about it. Now the Browns have turned themselves around. The Jets, well, they'll get somebody, right? At least the Jets have made an AFC championship game in the last, couple centuries. When's the last time the Lions won a playoff game?
Not won a playoff game since the early 90s. So what does that tell you about the Lions?
I think they have 1 playoff win since 1957. It's about as sad as it gets.
Yeah, all right, but if you think about Stafford, he's been to the playoffs in 2014, 2011, and 2016, and all 3 times he lost playoff games with talented teams around him. That Detroit team in 2011, 11-5. 2014, 11-5, lose to Dallas. 2016, not as good, 9-7. But still, 3 times he's been to the postseason and 3 times he's lost. So I don't know if you would consider him going to the Rams as a win for the Rams. We'd have to see how he plays in the postseason if the Rams are to get there next year, which I would think that they will because of the talent that they have on their team. But Stafford 0-3 in the playoffs.
Let's be real, though.
I think he's definitely a top 10 QB, and it's a definite win for the Rams.
He's obviously
Did they give up too much? Probably, but I think it's definitely an upgrade.
It's absolutely
definitely makes their chances better to win the Super Bowl.
Jared Goff is getting ranked up with quarterbacks like Daniel Jones and Taylor Heineke. Come on now. He's not bad. I wouldn't say he's the worst quarterback in the league. He's just not good. He is what he is. He's a game manager.
Goff, he's average at best. He has too many turnovers. There was a game he had against Miami where I think he turned the ball over 5 times. So being turnover prone, and with that team, he also never developed. Goff is with the Rams for 16, 17, 18, 19, 5 years, and he just never developed. Even in the year they made the Super Bowl, his stats weren't that great. He was carried mostly by a good running attack and his defense.
He still has multiple playoff wins, though, something that a lot of QBs can't say.
Like Matt Stafford.
Some QBs can't even win in the regular season, so I don't know how he's getting paired with Dan Jones. He's definitely a tier above players like them.
Well, you have to understand Daniel Jones has a terrible situation. Jared Goff had a really good coach, good offensive line, good weapons, great defense.
Yeah, but he stepped up in the playoffs this year. Played injured.
Broken thumb.
Played pretty well.
He did have a broken
You can't say the losses around him this year.
No, the defense against the Packers.
His part in the playoffs.
You guys, the defense against the Packers, it did not play well at all. I mean,
Aaron Donald wasn't playing
the
whole game. He had a rib injury. But if you really look at it from Detroit's perspective, I mean, Jared Goff coming in there, probably their next 3-4 years, at least at the quarterback position. I don't know if they're gonna draft a guy, develop a guy. I don't know. Jared Goff, he's kind of just been tossed out to the wind and probably thrown into one of the worst situations he can be in, honestly. Detroit, that head coach.
I'm with you, Jason. Detroit is a mess. They just hired a new head coach who I don't think many people have heard of around the league in the first place.
All I know is he wants to break people's kneecaps and then he wants to, throw them in the river or whatever he was saying in that press conference. Some wild stuff.
Some wild stuff he said in that press conference. I'm with you. And when they made this trade, obviously in Detroit's mind, they need Goff for 3 or 4 more years, as you said. But I don't think Detroit's a playoff team even in the next 3 seasons. That's how bad they have been. I mean, they have a couple of skilled players like Marvin Jones. Galladay's going to leave in free agency. They have a running back in Kerryon Johnson who can't stay healthy. I mean, I can barely name that many players on Detroit. They've just become irrelevant in recent years with their terrible play.
I think you got to pay double to take that general manager job.
I think you have to get a pretty good margin just to want to work for that dysfunctional organization. But what about, I mean, if you're getting Jared Goff, do you think that he develops just a bit more under a new offense with new coordinators? Not at all?
Of course not. He couldn't develop with Sean McVay and all those weapons. He is what he is. He's a mediocre system quarterback. He's Alex Smith. But without Andy Reid.
His coach was coveted as a quarterback whisperer, and he still couldn't do it for him.
He's going to be Alex Smith pre-Jim Harbaugh on the 49ers. And I don't know if you remember 2009 Alex Smith, but it's kind of subpar play.
Yeah, it's pretty bad before Jim Harbaugh came. You're right.
He made Alex Smith into a viable trade candidate and made Colin Kaepernick into a borderline MVP. So,
I mean, I don't think Jared Goff is their future, but I think he'll be good for the next couple of years to help them rebuild.
He's a placeholder. He's got 3 years left on his contract, I think, guaranteed money. It's like the Wentz contract. I mean, but the only problem is, that's a whole nother situation in Philadelphia. I don't know what they're going to do. I just hope they screw it up.
I'm not sure how high of a draft pick that Detroit has this year, but maybe do they consider taking a quarterback for the future if there's one out there? I mean, I think they're at 7th, and someone had them picking Justin Fields. I could be wrong, but
I doubt it. They'll do it this year.
There's no chance. It just wouldn't make any sense to take a QB after you own another QB with like 20-something million.
Probably just try and bolster the defense over the next couple of years. Give them a shot to win some games.
The Lions are selecting 7th in the NFL draft, so I mean, you think they go defense with that pick? Probably.
I mean, the next 2 years they have 2 first-round picks now, so that's 4 players that are going to probably be starters for your team if you don't screw up.
Yeah, and they drafted a corner in the first round last year in Jeff Okudah, who is supposed to be good. I don't know. He's only rookie, so.
If Matt Stafford, at his age, is able to get 2 firsts and a third, and Goff, what's Deshaun Watson getting?
I mean, one of those firsts was for the contract to Goff, though.
Deshaun Watson has a huge contract, too.
Yeah, but he's got a good contract. Goff was considered a bad contract by a bunch of players around the league.
That's just because he's not good enough to live up to that. I mean, Watson's got to be at least 3 firsts now. I mean, you think about the price tag for this guy, maybe 4. It's going to be crazy to see.
I think 4 if you're desperate, but I think 3 in a starter should be enough to get it done.
I don't know, but I think this trade is the first of many to come. We're going to see a lot of new faces and new places next year. And let's just hope that it doesn't affect the locals too much. Because we can only take so much change.
What team do you think Watson goes to, Chase?
If I had to take a random guess right now, I'd probably say the Dolphins. I think they're most likely to land him.
What about you, Jack?
I don't think he's going to go to the Dolphins. I actually think the Jets have like a pretty good shot at landing him. And I think they might actually do that in a deal with sending Darnold to Houston along with some picks and a package deal to get Watson into New York to play for the Jets.
Dolphins can do all that and they're a 10-win team. The Jets have a few picks.
Are you really going to give up? Are you really going to give up on Tua after one season where he didn't even start the whole year?
I wouldn't, but for Deshaun Watson, of course. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it makes you a Super Bowl contender right there.
You don't know if Tua's best case scenario, he'll be half of what Deshaun Watson is. Deshaun Watson's top 5 quarterback.
Deshaun Watson made the Texans, who are a 4-12 team, actually competitive in most of their games, which is crazy because they're so bad.
If that team had any defense, they would have been a 10-win team. That's how good Deshaun Watson is.
I mean, the one game where Deshaun Watson showed out this year was against Detroit. I don't know if you watched that one on Thanksgiving, but he was absolutely lights out with a full receiving core and healthy running back. I mean, he played 4 touchdown passes, I think. But again, he's playing Detroit, but still.
And that was the beginning and the end of my fantasy season. That basically soiled it. So thank you, Deshaun.
It's a shame that Deshaun had to do you dirty like that, Jason. But he's a damn good quarterback.
And we'll see how Matt Stafford gets down with the LA life. See if he gets down and dirty with it, or if he's just out there to win 13 games in a Super Bowl. We'll see. Sometimes the LA life ain't forever.
Do you think a dark horse team like the Giants or the 49ers land Watson?
No.
No, I don't think so either.
Because tell me if you wouldn't give up Dan Jones, Saquon, and 2 firsts for Deshaun Watson?
The Giants are the most conservative. They're the most conservative organization I've ever met in my life. They don't do that stuff ever.
No,
you don't think the 49ers give up Jimmy and 3 firsts?
The 49ers want Kirk Cousins. Forget about Deshaun.
Okay, who the heck wants Kirk Cousins?
The 49ers.
So who wants him? Why?
They're going to send him Jimmy and a first for Kirk Cousins.
Okay, you're going to trade Jimmy and a first to the Vikings for Kirk Cousins.
You watch, it's going to happen.
He's really a winner, all right, Jason.
Shot heard around the world. Sure. Have you seen him in those Sleep Number commercials? The man's a baller.
I mean, the man has good regular season numbers, but he hasn't won anything. Never does.
All right, well, they call him Primetime Kirk. That's got to mean something.
Oh, geez, you mean like his 0-9 Monday Night Football record?
That's pretty good.
Jeez, I think Jared Goff is even better than Kirk Cousins. Hate to say it, but I think he is. Oh, Jared Goff is more proven.
Is Dwayne Haskins better?
Dwayne Haskins is going to Pittsburgh. You think he might start over Ben next year?
No.
Yeah, no chance. I don't know. He signed with a different team. I think he's just going to be a career backup like most Ohio State quarterbacks are.
I don't know.
Dan Jones is better than Kirk Cousins?
Yes. Just kidding. Actually, he's not.
And we'll see what happens. Can't wait to cover more of these things next week. What else you guys got to say here? Because I'm out of ideas.
Well, one thing that you can bring to the table is that it's going to be an interesting offseason in the NFL this year, and I really think the draft is going to prove which teams can bring themselves over the top, because some teams got close this year, just not good enough, like Buffalo, for example.
Jets knocking on the door for next year. We'll see what happens.
Jets knocking on the door for the number 1 pick next year. But anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Like and subscribe.
And see you next time.
See you.